The Israeli side of the story, and the event that is most in our awareness about this is the horror of the Holocaust that led to the creation of the State of Israel. The narrative that we don't hear very much about, and many Americans are completely ignorant about, is what happened to the Palestinian people in 1948. So we're very pleased to have two speakers who can address this in a very personal way. I want to remind you that Cleveland Peace Action is a membership organization. So if you like if you like this program, we encourage you to become a member. You can do so out at the table here. You can visit our website, which is Cleveland Peace Action, peaceactioncleveland.org. You can visit us on Facebook, Peace Action Cleveland. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Meetup. We're busy. But we would very much like for you to become more involved and to participate in the quest for Middle East peace, and also other issues that we work on, like the abolition of nuclear weapons and the reduction of the military budget. So, without anything further, I want to introduce Jeff Kassouf, who is the co-chair of our Middle East Peace Committee, and that committee is responsible for the nuts and bolts of organizing this program. Jeff.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming out, braving the weather, and getting out here today. Basically, Cleveland Peace Action has a Middle East committee, and our focus of our committee is, as it says, the Middle East, and our primary focus has been the issue of which we pretty much, as a consensus of our committee, view as being the crux of all the Middle East turmoil, and that is the issue of Israel and Palestine. We see it, Israel and Palestine, as directly relating to the unrest in Iran, in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Syria, and in Egypt. And because of this, we think it's a key issue for us to focus the majority of our time on, is solving the needs of the people, both Jewish and Palestinian, to live in dignity with full human rights. And that's the goal of our committee. And right now I'd like to introduce our special guest today. When we speak of human rights, I can think of no better example in Northeast Ohio than my good friend Genevieve Mitchell. Genevieve has been an activist with the Lewis Stokes Brigade in Northeast Ohio for a number of years and is the current leader of the brigade. Anyone who has followed human rights and justice issues in Northeast Ohio, I'm sure, is aware of the struggle that's going on in the streets of Cleveland for justice, for people who live in the city, that they're viewed without prejudice for race or economic status. And so I right now turn over the microphone to my good friend Jennifee Mitchell, who will then introduce our speakers for today.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for that very warm welcome. Yes, my name is Genevieve Mitchell. I am a social justice activist in the city of Cleveland and East Cleveland. And you know, I'm pleased to be here today because I'm a longtime friend of Jeffrey Kassouf and Deneen, and I admire their tenacity and civic engagement for social justice. We have today two highly distinguished speakers, which I will introduce momentarily. Dr. Nahida Gordon, PhD, and Abbas Hamideh. And as I said, I will get to them in just a moment. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu appeared before a joint session of the United States Congress this past week at the invitation of House Speaker Boehner in an appeal for Israel punctuated by thunderous applause from congressmen and senators present, though some members chose to boycott. On the issue, one issue is the major breach of political protocol in that United States President Barack Obama was not the initiator, I'm told, nor on the itinerary for Netanyahu's visit. This blatant level, some say, of political disrespect is seen by many as a veiled message to this administration's leadership, in tandem with a foreign leader's inherent external control of the administration's core body and their agenda, and where America's financial resources will continue to be directed, at what cost and for what reason. As we in the hood watch the brutal and unnecessary demise of an entire race of people from across the water, who according to Dr. Cornel West are being systematically exterminated by Zionism, we see stark parallels in our battles here at home. We be humble greens and okra and cornbread eating folk, not sophisticated enough or smart enough to recognize big time international affairs. We ain't directly involved. That be the white man's business, some say. But black women say the white man's business is our business because we are the white man's business. If deployment comes, it is our children and economic resources that will be sent to the front lines of the battle in a foreign nation, their remains returning in cold steel coffins, lifeless, limbless, and damaged from the disbelief of the business of what war is. Heroes returning, unemployed, homeless, with no medical care, shot at on the nation's skid rows, throwaways. Anne Frank intrinsically understood the Hunger Games, the systematized process of exterminating millions of people in the name of national security via nuclear warheads, guns, drugs, big contracts, or wars of attrition over land, housing, food, fresh water, utilities, occupational productivity, and the right to a peaceful, decent life. What's going on in Palestine is going on in Cleveland and Ferguson and New York and Los Angeles and Trayvon, Florida, and we need to understand and recognize that. The entire world is at war. Most of us, like those in Palestine, are fighting for the right to live and breathe. We are fighting for the right to preserve our children's right to live in peace with one another on this planet, and I say it is possible. The Palestinian community is facing the same militarization, tanks, submachine guns, and body armor troops in civilian communities just like Ferguson. Palestinians are being driven out of their communities through strategic land dispossession, annexation, and reclamation to make way for settlements in the same way that we are here in Cleveland, Ohio, orchestrated by bank foreclosures, municipal annexation, and land bank consolidation for other folk who will come and live in costly new tax-abated, tax increment finance settlements. Palestinians are being shot down like dogs and imprisoned, just like black folk, the dregs of society, they say. 3 million people, mostly black, brown, and poor white, some homeless, mentally ill, locked up for trying to survive because powerful folk with control of the economic, political, and social resources say we must never allow them to live as free men and women. We must never have full, viable economic participation. Our children are being murdered just like the Palestinians. Our youth who should be in college studying are killing each other with drugs we don't bring in, guns we don't produce or deliver. We eat food we don't grow and are victims of a pathologically destructive lifestyle that has no cultural relationship to who we are. Beyond that, they are being destroyed by state-sanctioned extrajudicial killings like Palestinians by the militarized police state with impunity. Our work, the nation's work, lies ahead. Our hearts are with the Palestinian people and those in the Jewish community of good faith who support an end to the Palestinian carnage and destruction as the only correct way to preserve peace in that region. As we call for and demand humanity for our brothers and sisters abroad, we will begin to create a truly human environment, and by extension, lives and global communities for ourselves as well. Thank you.